I've now tested 5 different motors in the Team Magic E5, which is here. So I'm going to do a roundup of which motors here I would recommend and which ones I would stay away from. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, Motor Test Tuesday, or my series which I've been testing these motors in the Team Magic, you'll already know my thoughts on all of these motors, but this is just going to be a quick roundup of which one I think's best and which one is going to be taking its place in the truck permanently. So first of all, this is the Hobbywing EasyRun 3660 G2, and this is a sensorless Hobbywing motor, 3200 kV. It's got a temperature sensor on the back, which is great because it means if it overheats then it will shut down automatically. This is what came with the Max 10 SCT 120 amp ESC, which I use in the Team Magic. Got those in a combo together. And this, out of all of these motors, is actually my least favourite. So this never ran quite as fast or as powerful as I wanted it to. It's also the most expensive out of all of these motors by quite a long way. This by itself is about £60, and none of these other motors cost even half that. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend this motor at all for this truck. Maybe the higher 4000 kV will be better for this truck, but with the 3000 kV I was only able to run 14 or 13 tooth pinions without it overheating. Also, one of the screws fell out of the case, but that's after quite a while of use. And yeah, the motor's always been not quite as torquey, as powerful as I thought it should be. Now, next motor I'm going to talk about is the X Team. So this is the 3660 3180 kV. Bought this off AliExpress. It was about 22 quid, but I got hit with import tax. So yeah, that's a bit annoying. I mean, it does look good, this motor. Don't like the connectors on it, and the wires are a bit smaller than the others here. I did forget to mention on the Hobbywing the wires are quite long, but they're not actually quite long enough to reach the ESC in the Team Magic, so that was always a bit annoying. So yeah, these wires do need an extension. You can see I've got the extensions on there, but they're fine. All of these other motors needed extensions. So yeah, this X Team motor has also been disappointing. I've tried this on 2 different pinions, both a 13 tooth and a 15 tooth more recently. In the last video you'll have seen this was 15 tooth, gave it a second chance with a higher tooth count, just because it is a slower kV motor. So this one did, on the 13 tooth pinion, I ran it on 3S and it did 40 miles an hour in the truck on a fully charged 3S pack on grass. I tested all of the motors on the same field with various different pinions ranging from 12 to 15 teeth. This one I tested on both a 13 and a 15, so it did 40 miles an hour on 3S on the 13 tooth. Bit of a crash there. Pretty good at wheeling. And 43 on the 15 tooth pinion. So yeah, it never performed that well, even though it was geared to 48. On the 15 tooth pinion it did cog quite a lot as well. It was having trouble starting up at slow speed. I don't know whether because that's the gearing or because the motor, but yeah, this one has been quite disappointing considering the price compared to some of the other motors here. Obviously it's much cheaper than the Hobbywing, which is why I'd recommend it over that, but I do think the Hobbywing is a little bit more powerful. Also, with the mounting hole options you only got 4 rather than 6, which you've got on all of the others. And yeah, it does have a 5mm shaft and the banana connectors. So this motor here is the second worst. I wouldn't recommend either of these two motors, to be honest. So yeah, we'll carry on to the next one. So the next motor on my list, which I also wouldn't recommend, is a Surpass Hobby 3660/3100 kV. And this motor was one of the cheapest, I think. Both these Surpass KK series were. They've only got a 3.2mm shaft. You can get them in a 5mm shaft, but unfortunately they weren't available at the time. If you can, I would recommend getting one with a 5mm shaft though, because otherwise you have to buy a separate adapter. The wires on these aren't particularly nice. They've just got this braiding around them, like cheap rubbery braiding, unlike the silicone wires on the X-Team and the Hobbywing. However, it has got decent bullet plugs on it, so that is pretty nice, so the bullets are decent. This motor again, I only ran this on a 15 tooth pinion because of the low kV, and it actually only did 2944 kV on the motor tester, so I only ran this one on 3S. No, I ran it on 2S as well. So on 2S it only did 26 miles per hour, and on 3S on a 15 tooth pinion it did 41. And just going to give it a quick run here. Can't really see it because of the sun out there. Sun is getting lower in the evenings now. So again, this was a little bit too slow. The startup on it was also not very good, same as the X-Team. So the minimum speed the car can roll at, obviously it's not censored, was a bit slower with this motor than the Hobbywing and those two over there. So I wouldn't recommend this motor purely because the higher kV version was quite a bit better. So I guess I'll move on to that next. So this is the 4200 kV version of the Surpass Hobby KK series. It's got the same good bullet plugs, but the wires again, not particularly liking this style of braiding on the wires. It has got the 6 mounting holes, and again it's got 3.2mm shaft. So this on the kV tester only did 3868 kV, which is quite a bit lower than advertised. However, it still performed really well. The low speed performance was pretty good with this. Now I only used a 12 tooth pinion, so that might have been something to do with it. So gearing from a 12 to a 15, which I was using on these two, could have made a difference, but then it is higher kV, so it was quite a bit quicker. On 2S it did 29 miles per hour, and on 3S it did 46, which is the fastest out of any of these motors. Fastest speed I got with this. It's getting wheel spin because the grass is wet. There we go, that was a nice wheelie. But yeah, it's pretty dark now, so I'm gonna head back soon. had to do a proper bashing session with it at the park as well. Same with the X team and this one here. And yeah, this one was actually the best out of these 3 cheaper ones so far. Didn't really have any issues with it, to be honest. Running the 12-tooth pinion. Again, I needed the adapter, but it was perfectly fine, to be honest. Yeah, I quite like this one. However, it wasn't quite as good as the best one. So the final one is the Surpass Hobby Platinum 3800 kV. And this is actually the motor that I'm going to be keeping, the motor that's going to be going in. It was the most expensive out of the Surpass motors. Obviously it's a bit more than the 2KK series, but it was cheaper than the X Team and the Hobbywing. It's got 5mm shaft, rated at 3800 kV. However, on the motor tester it only did 3481, so 3481 kV, which is much lower than rated. However, this actually performed really well. I used it with a 13-tooth pinion in the truck, and it did 45 miles per hour. So there you go. So that's pretty good. It's only 1 mile an hour less than the 4200 kV, but it had, I would say, the most torque. It's also got better braiding than the KK series. However, it's still not quite as nice as the flexible silicone wires on the X Team and the Hobbywing. However, I think this is fairly acceptable, and because it has the better bullets as well, it's good. It also ran really cool. I could maybe go to a 14-tooth in the future and test that out. Yeah, it just felt torquey and powerful. The startup on it was nice and smooth, so at low speeds the minimum speed is pretty good with this one, and the top speed is also pretty good as well. So yeah, this is the motor that's going to be staying in here. I'll put some clips of all these motors in as I go through, and yeah, this is the one I would recommend if you're going to get a motor for your Team Magic, a 3800 kV 3660. I don't know if a KK series with a 5mm shaft would be as good as this, but I'm going to stick with this one. Ran cool, was powerful, fast, good slow speed performance as well. So yeah, all in a good package really. Yeah, that's it for this one. Goodbye.